So if she's right here and you're saying, I have to do something to attract her so that way I can get on her level, then you're putting yourself below her. You're coming from a deficit. Okay. What's up guys, Patrick James here. Welcome to this video. I'm excited for this one because I think this is gonna be an important message that a lot of you really need to hear, but nobody's ever had the balls to tell it to you yet. And in fact, me and my new videographer, we were just talking about this. If you're a guy who's like going out a lot and maybe you haven't had a girlfriend in a while, and especially as you start to get up into your 30s or 40s, if you're the kind of type of guy who can't get a girlfriend or can't date the women that you actually want, to where you don't feel like you're settling, but you feel like you fucking won when you're dating her and you present her to your family, then you're messing up here. And I think this question I'm about to read you that got emailed to me will kind of make you see exactly where I'm coming from. So this one came from Michael, and he said, why do I attract girls that are 5s, 6s, and 7s but cannot attract 8s, 9s, and 10s? And why are those girls so picky and harder to get? The 6s and 7s, I just want to bang, and I cannot ever get with an 8, 9, and 10 as they reject me, so it's very hard to ever find the one for me. So 3 suggestions on this. First off, if you're going out and you're approaching a lot of women and you're trying to meet a lot of women, especially if you're going out to bars and nightclubs to meet these girls, or even if you go out during the day, fuck it. What you're trying to do is, like, a lot of times you'll hear dating coaches, and even if, especially if you're starting out, you hear like, talk to everybody, get some social momentum. And this is a good skill just to get the ball rolling and get you some experience. So talk to everybody, 6s, 7s, fat girls, tall girls, short girls, guys, girls, security guards, bartenders, whatever, just to get the social momentum rolling. But eventually you'll reach a sticking point to where, like this guy, you find that you gravitate towards comfort, and everybody kind of gravitates towards comfort, and they're gonna not want to go outside their comfort zone just naturally, even though mentally they might say, I'm gonna go outside my comfort zone today, but it's like, what are you actually doing, not what are you saying, right? And so I know from when I started, one of my sticking points, and I know a lot of guys go through this, is when I was approaching everybody and just having fun with everybody, I would find myself talking to the 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, the girls who I perceived to be less attractive than me, and we'll get back to this in a second, but when I was talking to them, I felt like they were responding well to me, and then I would keep talking to them, and soon enough, it's like time for everybody to go, and the place is closing down. And so I would actually find myself wasting the whole night talking to girls just to get warmed up and chase state. And so you don't want to be chasing the state, because when you're in that phase of your, I guess, game progression, is like, you'll see the hot girl, the 9, the 10, the girl who intimidates all the guys in the room, and she turns heads, but you'll go, I'm not in a good enough social momentum, I'm not in a good enough flow state yet, I can't talk to her yet, I gotta get myself in a better state first, so I'm gonna go buy a drink. That way, you know, eventually I get too sloppy to talk to her, or I'm just gonna talk to these girls who I don't perceive to be attractive the entire time and not approach that girl, right? And so that's the one mistake, is you're chasing state and you're not giving yourself permission to just roll up to the hot girl right away.
You are putting the pussy up on this pedestal. You're just building the pussy up, man.
And so my challenge to you is, first off, before we get into the other 2 suggestions I have for you, is give yourself the challenge of approaching the hot girls first, right? And just work your way down. And that way you kind of use that anxiety, that like, oh, she's hot, I can't talk to her. That moment of anxiety, use that as your true north, your guiding compass, because that's a situation that you know counts. That's a situation to where you know, at least on the surface, I'm intrigued, I'm gonna go up and see what she's about. And that's, you know, that's a whole other topic on its own, because some guys go up and think, you know, I gotta get the girl, but just roll up. If you find her attractive, go and break the ice and just see what happens, because at this point, you don't even know if she has a good personality yet. That brings me into number 2, which is you're trying to attract her. You're trying to attract her. I know this is kind of counterintuitive, because I have a book called 107 Proven Ways to Get the Girl. Got several of them right here. Yeah. And in this book, I actually like talk about, oh shit. I just talk about 107 different proven ways to attract women, and I know this is kind of counterintuitive, but here's the thing, man. If you, and I'll get back to this in a second, but if you feel like you have to do something to attract a girl, then let's imagine this on like a linear scale. So if she's right here, and you're saying, I have to do something to attract her so that way I can get on her level to where we can actually see if this is gonna work out, then you're putting yourself below her. You're coming from a deficit. And so for you to have to do something to attract her, then that is already like she's not going to be attracted to you, especially if she's a high value girl who has a lot of dudes rolling up to her, who gets a lot of attention from guys, and maybe if she wants validation from guys, she just logs into Instagram and sees all the likes and comments on her picture, right? And so just because you roll up and talk to her, it's not going to mean anything, and just because you say the right line, it's not going to mean anything. And the reason why there's 107 proven ways is because these are the things that guys who are naturally getting girls do, right? And so you'll go through a phase where you have to, you know, fake it till you make it, if you will, to where you're doing the things so you can know how it feels. That way you do it so much that it becomes naturally who you are. Right? And so right now you're probably in a phase to where not only you're not even giving yourself permission to roll up to the higher quality women, but when you do, you feel like you're at a deficit and you have to force it to happen. And I talked about this in another video, but you're trying to hold water, but you just got to relax and just be you, the naturally attractive version of you, and obviously keeping in mind what women actually respond to, and that's going to help you out in the end. But here's the biggest one, and this is the third and final tip I have for you, is to stop calling these girls 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, and 10s. Because here's the thing, and I've talked about this before, when you're seeing the hot girls as the 9s and 10s, the girls that are hard to attain, and you're seeing the girls that are easy, the girls that are like you as 6s, 7s, and 5s, and 8s, or whatever, well, inherently, you're putting yourself on a scale that doesn't fucking exist. It's a scale that exists in your own head, because my version of an 8, 9, and 10 is gonna be 100% different than Alexander, who's behind the camera, of his version of an 8, 9, and 10. And so your version of a 9 and a 10 is just the girls that you feel like you're not good enough to get yet. And so when you're thinking of them in those ways, you're whether you know it or not, putting yourself on the same scale as them that you created in your head, and you're putting yourself below these girls.
You making the pussy into this great big Greek goddess named Pussaliah.
And again, these girls, if they perceive you to be below them, or they can see that you think that they're above you, and they can feel that you're putting them on a pedestal, and you feel like you have to do all these things just to attract her, do you really think that she's gonna be into that? Obviously not, dude. And so it's kind of funny, because if you flip this on its head and you kind of invert the problem here, you're not thinking of the 5s, 6s, and 7s in the same way. And the reason why they're being attracted to you is not because they're 5s, 6s, and 7s. It's because you're naturally doing these things, but you're not giving a shit about the outcome with those girls, because you're more into the 9s and 10s, and you see them as the ever-elusive girls on the pedestal.
I think you're right. I'm putting the pussy up on a pedestal.
So stop putting the pussy on a pedestal, as they would say in the 40-year-old virgin. Stop calling them 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, and 10s. Do these until they can naturally become a part of who you are, rather than you having to actually do it and feel like you have to do the attraction technique just to get her into you, because again, that's putting you at a deficit. And then stop chasing state. Stop waiting for permission to roll up to the girls that you actually find attractive. Use that anxiety that you feel when you see her as your true north, and use that as a place that you should be going. Because if you don't feel that when you turn around and you see a girl that you perceive to be less attractive, well, you're kind of just playing on the sidelines intentionally, because you're not even putting yourself in the game with her. All right, so on that note, we've already talked about this book, and if you haven't already grabbed 107 proven ways to get the girl, grab your copy for free. We have 500 copies in total, and they're flying off the shelves fast. It's my best-selling book, and I want to give it to you for free. All you got to do is cover shipping and handling, and I'll ship this book to you anywhere in the world. And that's at howtogetthegirlnow.com. And that said, if you have any questions that you want to see answered again in the future, then hit me up on Instagram. I'm always checking my Instagram DMs, and we're gonna start uploading to Instagram a lot more often now that we got a guy behind the camera to help me with the content production. And lastly, if you aren't already subscribed to the Raw Dating Advice family, hit that subscribe button below, and also turn on that notification bell so you can know when a new video comes out. On that note, I'm gonna get out of here, man. See you later.
Okay.